Keep it waiting until we get to Harvard.
Hello, whiskey folk. No, it's not Thursday night. It's a Sunday night. This is an ad hoc stream. This is just a kind of off-the-cuff thing that we decided to do. I've not bullied you into doing this, but I've kind of actively encouraged you.
He's been trying for months.
So this is my friend, long-term whiskey friend. I know him as Graham, but you know him as the whiskey-rev.
Good evening.
And what I thought would be a good idea for tonight would be for us to get together and just, the theme being a kind of recap on 2018 a wee bit. But for us, it's more of a recap on our whiskey journey. Specifically our whiskey journey.
You make that sound like this is goodbye?
No, this is just a beginning. But let's say it's how we used to enjoy whiskey and how we enjoy whiskey now going forward has to be different because you left me. I grew a bereavement beard.
I think what he means is Roy didn't move up to Speyside when I did.
So, well, I guess we need to fill in and just give people the history because it's kind of our history and our whiskey life together is interwoven with this channel and how we've come to be so into whiskey as we are.
Yeah.
Because I would describe myself as a geek, a whiskey geek.
I would describe you as a geek as well.
So
can I just point normally I am sitting typing at the moment and watching for people saying hello.
Yes.
And that gives me the opportunity ordinarily to say hello to people as they come in. And I'm kind of aware that there's lots of people come in saying hello to us. And because I can't type, I'm just going to say a big hello to everybody who's saying that. It's nice to be welcome and see so many people coming in wishing us.
Well, it's
Happy
interesting
New Year
because
stuff.
what I tried to do tonight was try and do a kind of almost stealth thing and put it out to patrons and then just kind of release it on YouTube kind of quietly so that it would just be the notification squad that got it.
Is the mic too loud?
But is the mic too loud?
Throttle. That might be because I was leaning forward.
Oh, okay. Well, I can try and fix that throttle. Let me know if that's a wee bit better. Let me know if that's better for you, Daniel. So, I mean, I'm quite surprised at how many of you have turned up to watch us. That's fantastic. Why are you laughing?
Look at that. Who knew Roy has more hair than the Rev?
That's right. I aspire to his haircut. That's what Eric Waite said earlier, actually, that one of the things that you had in common with him was your hairstyle.
I got a nice comb for Christmas, and I've never parted with it, and I never will.
So let's just say hello to a few people that are in before we start indulging each other, right?
Right.
So we've got Multi-Haggis Muncher Matthews in. Good to see you, my friend. Keith Corbett is in. Mose is in. Colourless Blue Things. Fantastic. Keith is in Malted Man Cave. Whiskey Jason from Germany. Fantastic. Brolic Whiskey. Good to see you in, Brolic. Good to have you joining us. Brolic Whiskey has his own channel as well. Jay Chung is in. The Doc, Macallan Fine and Rare. He's saying that he knew about your hairstyle. Because I've
had the pleasure of meeting him before.
Yes.
Face to face.
You met Doc and Macallan.
I did.
10 out of 10 here to both of you. Cheers, Adam. Good to see you. And Bob Finnegan, that looks like a new name, Bob. Very nice to welcome you here. Maybe it's because it's Sunday. I'll maybe get a few people in that don't normally make the V-pubs on Thursday nights. Reese Wilkinson, another new name. Fantastic, Reese. Good to see you. Donald Rance. Mark Goins, you star. Good to see you. And Tony Evans, my friend. Wonderful to see you as well. George Kaplan from the States. Wonderful to have you in. Toby Field. Gabriel Wintermute. Sup, guys? Good to see you, Gabriel. That's a new name. And Floris Beanhian, would you say? Sorry, Floris. I'm sure I'm pronouncing your name wrong.
Beanhian.
Well. That seems right. Whiskey Pilgrim is in. Good to see you. Kevin Grant is in. Good to see you, Kevin, as well. Kieran May, otherwise known as Richard, I discovered this week. He's nice to see you in, Kieran. I'll continue to refer to you as Kieran in the chat if that suits you okay. Roy Evans is in as well. Good to see you back again, Roy. It's been a while since I've seen you, my friend. Roy's from Glasgow too. East Kilbride.
All the best people are.
All the best people are.
Apart from whiskey folk, are good anywhere.
That's right. Hoagie Bear, Ross Fudd, Gregor, Andreas Eisner. Lots of new names in tonight. Fantastic. I'm not changing. I'm not going to do things on a Sunday night. This is because Graham and his family have come down to join us for New Year. Hogmanay celebrations start tomorrow, and he's staying into the New Year. So
yeah, I'm going to assume all these new names are here for me.
That's right. That you're attracting the crowd. That's right.
I'm going to choose to believe that.
Well, I think one of the things I think we should probably point out, because there was this conspiracy for a long time, when the channel started, people thought you and I were the same person. Do you remember?
I do remember, yeah.
And the reason for that is that we used to get together on a Wednesday night and we would take these photos of the same bottles in the same location, share it on independent social media feeds, one under the Whiskey Rev, one under Aqvavitae, and I forgot to switch chat off tonight. NASA83 has sent in a virtual dram. Happy New Year to you and all the bastards watching. Thank you very much, NASA. Thank you very much for your virtual dram. Cheers to you. Yeah.
Apparently my Whiskey Rev profile logo is spot on. Which absolutely I have to say, he takes the credit for that. He designed that entirely by himself and was very proud of it.
Well, you like it.
Rightly so. Yeah.
You like it too, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, and what was I talking about? Yeah, the two has been the same. So what would happen is these photos would appear clearly of the same whiskies in the same location, and then we would start to say as a happy birthday to me gift thing, because our birthday is on the same day, just out of coincidence.
It is.
And so people started to guess that the Whiskey Rev and Aqvavitae were actually the same person, and he stoked the flames. You enjoyed that, and for a while, and even people that I was collaborating with, like Vin from No Nonsense Whiskey, was absolutely convinced that we were the same person. And it wasn't until he was able to moderate for me and things like that while I was doing live streams and things that people started to become sure that he wasn't. And then obviously you started working at Macallan. But what I wanted to do is a theme tonight, and I've kind of mentioned the theme loosely to you. I want the theme tonight to be about friendship, to celebrate our friendship, to celebrate all the whiskey friendships that exist out there, and how fantastic whiskey is at making friendships happen. But Graham and I have a very competitive friendship. So when we go on holiday together, we play very competitive games, and we're not shy about being competitive about these games, right? And so I imagine that will be very much a dynamic tonight. So what I've decided might be a good idea, that we have to come up with 3 reasons why we are good friends for each other. But I've not to tell him why I'm a good friend for him. I have to tell him why he is a good friend for me. So flip it around. So you've got to come up with 3 reasons, whiskey reasons, remember, why our friendship has been a positive thing. And I've got to try and find 3 things to say. And that's kind of going to be a theme, and we'll just kind of start that up. But I also want to just kind of give a wee bit of background to you and your life, because you've had 3 distinctive blocks in your adult life, right?
I have.
And you're currently in the 3rd block, and I find that quite interesting. You didn't, and I think Graham's story about how he got into whiskey is interesting as well. I wonder who should tell the story, you or I?
When are you thinking of, as in before I met you, and then how that before I met Roy, I wanted to like whiskey for a reasonably long time. There you go, look at that. See, Graham taught you everything you know about whiskey.
Says
anyway,
Eric.
It's a man knows his stuff.
Cheers, Eric.
Quality. See, he's got degrees and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to like whiskey for a long time, but I didn't really like it. So when I started whiskey, I bought, over the course of a couple of years, I had 3 bottles of whiskey that I'd had. 3 which I would consider really good go-to whiskies, and a Glenmorangie 10, an Aberlour 10, and an Old Pulteney 12. But I didn't really like them. I certainly didn't drink them neat, but I liked the idea of being a whiskey person. Then I met Roy, and the first thing Roy said to me, without any exaggeration at all, was, "You like whiskey, don't you?" And I think that was probably, if I have to pick a turning point in my whiskey journey where it all started, it was probably that time that we first met.
So the background to that is that, and I think that's a perfectly acceptable opener, by the way. You like whiskey, don't you, right? But the background to that is Graham's wife and my wife became friends, and they were talking about something that the husbands might have in common, and it was suggested that whiskey might be that thing. But I was already super, I was not as geeky as we got, but I was really into whiskey, and I had a collection, and I was sharing whiskey heavily at that point. And then I discovered that when Graham said, yes, he likes whiskey, I discovered that he liked this much Glenmorangie topped up with a mixer or a soda or a lemonade or something. And I said to him, you need to come round to my house. And that's what happened. We had a dinner one night, and the wives were there, and Graham and I we set up a little
Can I
tasting.
just point out that, see what Eric's written there? I mean,
The WhiskyRev was the best distillery tour guide I encountered in all of Scotland.
I'm too humble to read that out myself. Thank you for
He's also one of the most humble guys I know.
Absolutely.
I've never taken your tour yet. I've never been on your tour.
That's true. It would live up to all your expectations.
I wonder what your tour would be like if I was. Would I need to come in disguise?
5-star all the way.
One of Graham's previous roles was as a minister in the local church here, a parish. Now, I didn't go to church then. I don't go to church now, but I was sorely tempted to attend Graham's church just out of curiosity. But it got to the point that, much like you being a tour guide, that Macallan, I was thinking, do I have to turn up with, like, in disguise or something for fear of putting you off? Or
and so he grew a beard to disguise himself.
Yes, that's right. This is a bereavement beard.
But then Roy, we had a couple of, before we probably drank whiskey together, we had a couple of occasions where Roy let me taste one or two different whiskies. But he kept mentioning Lagavulin 16. And my perception, you don't mind me telling this story, do you? How I perceived your...
I don't mind at all.
Before I was a minister, I spent a few years working as a police officer. And when he was going on about Lagavulin 16, the only thing in my memory that I'd ever been aware of that anybody else had spoken about in the same, with the same passion, was drug addicts talking about how much the craving that they had for drugs. And I thought I didn't know him well. I thought this is a bit odd. So my wife and I were on holiday. We're in a hotel, and I said to her, right, I'm going to get a whiskey. Walked over to the bar. They had a wall of whiskey, and I could see several that I recognised. It was like the Aberlour, but there was also Lagavulin 16. And I looked at it and I went, that's the one that guy was always, Roy was always going on about. That's one he's always, how much is that? And the guy said, £6 or something like that. I said, well, I'm not going to like it, so I'll not bother having that. I'll have the Aberlour 10. Back down, sat down. The guy brought the wrong one. He'd written down Lagavulin 16. He brought that one by mistake. I picked it up, had it halfway to my nose, and I looked at my wife and I went, I don't know what that is, but that is awesome. That is amazing. And clearly worked out quite quickly what it was. But that was, if there's a moment in sort of the whiskey understanding of the palate, the taste of whiskey, because I remember saying to her, if I was suddenly told for some reason I could no longer drink whiskey, I would still buy that to smell it.
Johnny Depp. That's Johnny Depp's thing.
Yeah. Apparently I was so I'm told.
Yeah. So there you go. And suddenly, does that mean that was an epiphany for you then? That was a moment when you realised I wasn't a drug addict.
No, he wasn't a drug addict.
And that's kind of, I've spent my life doing that. I've spent my life trying to justify how a liquid can make somebody so impassioned, right? Even back then, because that was pre-geek days for me. I was loving whiskey and I was sharing it. But I'm going to start off with my first thing that I need to thank you for, okay? One of three.
All right.
Let's go.
Get ready for this.
I thank you for taking me from being like a casual whiskey fan and encouraging the geekery. Because when you and I started to enjoy whiskey together, that's when things got serious. Maybe because in order for our friendship to endure, we needed to find something that we both could connect with each other. But whiskey was the thing. And it became Wednesday night, every week, Whiskey Wednesday, sometimes with our friend Roberto Mafioso. I hope he's in, I hope he's watching us tonight. Roberto, in the latter years, we would have Roberto and a few others would turn up from time to time, right? But we were the core, we were the two guys. And over the course of those, how long would it have been? 3, 4, 5 years? I don't know. As long as 5 years, as long as the kids were at school, right? So over the course of those 5 years, we were basically tearing through as many whiskey distilleries, as many whiskies as we could physically afford. Am I right?
Absolutely. We
were living and earning all our spare cash for whiskey. It's quite, and I went from a collection of about 30 or 40 bottles, I think, and you've already admitted you had 3. And we
had 3 at the start.
We would be uncomfortable admitting how many we own now. But that was so.
I'm comfortable admitting how many you own.
That's the first thing I want to thank you for is that having somebody that would not only indulge the passion, but actively encourage it and stoke it and fuel it. And some of the moments and some of the drams that we had over my breakfast bar and dining room table downstairs, and sometimes at your house as well, were pause, and we weren't chatting for minutes sometimes because we're just staring at the whiskey in the glass, wondering how to. And I think that's what you always end up chasing in whiskey, is that it becomes harder and harder, a bit like a drug perhaps, to catch those moments, because they're new dawns, they're new epiphanies each time.
And some of them were very memorable. Very early on, I found 2 miniatures of Highland Park 25.
Yes.
For £12 in a woolen mill in Pitlochry. And I bought one and drank it, and bought the other one and brought it back. And
that would have been about 2013 or something, 2012 maybe, and that would have been the finest whiskey that we'd ever tasted.
And that was the first moment where I remember we tasted a whiskey, and there was nothing to say.
Yeah.
You know, there was silence, and then Roy just went, "That's magic."
Yeah, I might have been stronger than that even. But.
And then, do you remember the Brora 40?
So but that was some years later.
There are some that stand out as being this. Yeah.
I mean, if you ask a lot of whiskey geeks, Toby Field is saying how many in the collection then, Roy? Well, about a few months back, Toby, on you're a supporter of mine, I put a collection video on Patreon. Let's say it's about another 30 or 40% more than what's in that collection video. I'm always a wee bit ashamed to admit how many bottles I have in the collection, but I'm very proud to immediately follow up and tell people how many are open and sharing. All the whiskey in this house is it's on free pour, basically.
This actually wasn't one of my 3 things, but just to fit in with the conversation, I think I would probably and should probably say thank you to you for your extreme generosity with whiskey.
I knew this
many
would
of
be a good
you
idea.
in the room tonight will. What did you say?
I knew this would be a good idea. Thank you.
But there are many people who are in the room tonight, and I'm sure comments will start appearing here. Many of you in the room tonight will be able to say that you have benefited as well from Roy's generosity in sharing his whiskey, either because you have been in Glasgow, or if you're from somewhere else, you've visited Scotland and you met up with Roy and he's bought you something or given you something or shared something, or wherever you are in the world has sent drams. And there were a lot of times that when we would get whiskies, Roy had more than I did right from the very beginning, and that's always been the case. But he has never, ever, to the best of my recollection, said or done anything with whiskey other than say, let's open this and share it. And I would have done that, I'm pretty confident would have done that, even if I had nothing to share back.
Yeah, and I think that there's Matthew Harris saying thank you, Roy, for my Glengoyne. It's interesting, Matthew. We've got a Tamdu batch strength here from you, and I sipped on Thursday night. I sipped your Speyburn that you sent me across as well. And certainly, even now that I have most of my whiskey life virtually, it seems, I've got to know my local post office guy on first name terms because of how much sample. And look over here, I've got.
What does he think you're sending?
I've got a box of sample bottles, and it's because I do these little things, these live streams and things, and people that send me samples, if something pops into my mind to send them back, and I've got their address and things, then I'll often do that as well. It's just all kind of part of the sharing, and it's still possible to share whiskey even when you're remote.
Yeah, I mean the tagline it's not whiskey until it's shared.
That's right.
Is absolutely. I'll let you say thank you to
Mr. Lewis, which looks like a new name. Welcome in, Mr. Lewis. Thanks to see you. Saying Happy New Year. There's nothing sharing or nothing like. Oh, sorry, I can't even read. Here's to sharing our best whiskey with those we love. Slancher. I don't know if I love him. Well, when he's here, I don't feel like I love him. When he's away, maybe. In a very masculine way.
And Multi-Haggis Muncher, 5th of January's answer to your question. Slash.
Cheers. Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Multi-Haggis Muncher, what is he asking when you're back at work?
When it opens. When the distillery opens.
Daniel Whittington is in. That's Daniel from the Whiskey Vault.
Oh, is it?
You star, Daniel. Thank you very much for joining in. He's saying the graciousness and community of whiskey people is amazing. It's one of the reasons I'm so grateful to hang out in such a kick-ass community. Aqvavitae, grateful to know you. Well, Daniel, as I've already admitted, you gave me my highlight of 2018. Landing in Austin Airport, getting picked up with Bart and Scott and their Scotch Test Dummies Uber. And that entire experience, that entire weekend, hanging out in Austin, I mean, needless to say, you'd have loved it. You'd absolutely loved it.
Oh, yeah.
But you were too busy doing your Macallan thing. That's just, and the people and that sense of community and that thing where we took the virtual world and we just kind of had this real world experience. All that you guys had laid on was just marvelous. It was a buzz that was difficult to come down from. And I'm very, very excited that might happen again. It would be fantastic if it did. Whiskey Jason as well from Germany. You starry said it's not whiskey until it's shared. Happy New Year 2019. Thanks, Roy and Rev.
Happy New Year when it comes, Jason.
Cheers. So we've done one thing each, right? That we're grateful to each other for, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a good, because you don't.
Tell them what this is, by the way. Sorry,
this is a shared dram. This was given to me by, this is the Highland Park 12-year Orkney Inga. Is that how you pronounce it? You're the Edrington guy, right? Orkney Inga Legacy. This is the Highland Park 12 at 46%. I've got to say, I had a Highland Park 12 last night, and I find I wish it was higher ABV. This is Highland Park 12 at higher ABV. It's actually quite nice. It's very nice. So thank you very much to Willie Dolier, who brought these back from, he was actually at Highland Park in Orkney, and he brought it back to us. Dwayne, my friend Dwayne, is in. Yes, Roy is very generous, and I can attest to that fact during our visit to the Pot Still in November. Thank you very much, Dwayne. It was a pleasure to hook up with you twice this year.
He's speaking for a lot of people there.
It's been a busy year.
Don't be humble.
It's been a busy year.
You can't be humble. I'll say it for you. He's very generous.
Well, I'm obviously not that humble if I'm telling him. No, I don't say that. I don't tell you about that kind of stuff, but you're aware of it. You're certainly aware of it. Castmate is saying, waiting to receive Clynelish 14, thanks to your evangelism. Yeah, that's just going to be the start of your Clynelish journey. Clynelish is it's an orgasmic whiskey, Matthias, and I think the more you get into it, that's what we should have opened tonight. Actually, I've still got some of the cask left, 8687.
8687, have you?
I've got probably 2 drams left in it. We should probably have that. That was one of our epiphanies. That was definitely one of our epiphany whiskies.
That was what I bought that on a whim. Remember, off of Master Malt. I bought 2. That one and
that should have been one of my things to thank you for buying that.
That's why I'm mentioning it.
Yeah.
I bought 2 bottles. I bought the Clynelish and a Leipzig, sherry cask Leipzig, remember? And while he was, I didn't tell him what it was, and he was sipping the Clynelish, and halfway through it, as soon as he found out what it was, went onto his phone to order a bottle, and then drove. Was it the next day or was it 2 days later?
But it was within the same week. I drove to Edredar to clean them out to whatever they had,
which is about 85 miles away from here.
And they had 3 bottles on the shelf, and I bought 3 bottles. He said, "Get me one." I said, okay, I'll give you one of the 3. And since then, and most recently, Jez Batty and James Hope, you were there. They gifted me a bottle, not just of Clynelish, Signatory Vintage Clynelish, but they actually gave me a bottle of the cask 8687. Just amazing generosity, wonderful to witness. There's my friend Rolf, who you met.
Yeah,
wonderful guy, Rolf. Thank you very, very much for your generous virtual dram. The Whiskey Rev needs to choose a whiskey for us to toast to Rolf. Let's pick one of Rolf's.
He
doesn't look like that, but I love that. It's one of my favourites. Right, all of these drams are from Rolf.
Are they really?
All of these 4.
Why don't we ask him if he wants to recommend?
This is a cookie trail from his distillery visits around Scotland, and then he sent us a Norwegian dram as well, a Meekin.
Okay.
So we've got, you tell him what we've got, and he can tell us.
Well, he'll know what they are. Tomatin 11, Babler 11, hand bottled. Old Palmy 21, Highland Park 15, and how do you say that? Meekin, I think. Meekin Arctic single malt.
So you tell us, Rolf, what we should be sipping on our next pour,
and
we'll get a clean glass here.
Oh, look at that!
My wife must be watching the stream. She's brought up cask 8687. There's 2 drams left in that easily, isn't there? And the story that the Revs just recalled about this is absolutely true. This is a transformative whiskey for me. Signature quality. We're quite bad for that, aren't we?
My Mortlack one, they got all crumbled down the edge.
Yeah, it happens. Do you want to have this? What's Rolf saying?
Have you finished?
He's not nominated yet. Yeah, I've finished.
Thanks faster than I do.
Well, I think normally I don't because I'm doing all the talking. So this is a strange dynamic to have somebody else to talk in. I've got the next thing I want to thank you for. The next thing that I'm grateful about our relationship. And I think anybody that enjoys the content in the channel and
my jokes,
the VPub, and I don't miss your jokes at all. They're the cringiest, the worst of dad jokes. They really are.
He doesn't understand.
I'm grateful that this channel would have probably not existed because on 2 occasions there were pushes from you that were significant enough for me to remember. Once at my breakfast bar, where you said you should do what you do on YouTube. And then months and months after that, maybe even a year, more than that, because I flat refused. I said I would never be on YouTube.
I wish I had that on film. You would love to see that.
Yeah,
never go on a camera. Sorry.
No, he's there's Rolf there. He's not nominated what he wants us to sip yet. Tell us, Rolf. Tell us what you would like us to sip from the samples you sent. And then when I edited my first video, which was just a little kind of project that I did based on a blind tasting, just to work out the technicalities of YouTube and putting a video production together that I could share on YouTube and things. It was you and Roberto and myself that sat in this very room, a different layout, right? And we did a blind tasting and filmed it in this room. And I edited it, I put it together, and I said, well, that was fun, but it's never going public. And Graham said, well, okay, I'll come round. And you can show me it. And I said, yeah, come round. Do you remember the dram? I remember the dram we had that night.
Don't tell me what it was. Was it Kilkerran?
It was Kilkerran 12. So Kilkerran 12 had been launched to the market, sold out immediately, couldn't buy it, but they still had drinks by the dram at Master and Malt. So I got some of those, and we sat there drinking Kilkerran 12 from little drinks by the dram. And I showed you that video, and you insisted that it be put out.
It needed to get put out.
And he said, there's no reason for you not to put that out. And I was super nervous about it. And then it went out, and the next day, nothing happened. Nobody watched it, not even friends or family.
I remember how scared you were, your first thumbs down.
Donald Rance has just sent across a virtual dram as well. Donald, you star, you're such a great supporter. Cheers, Roy. Thanks for reconnecting me with one of my favourite whiskies, the Powers John's Lane. It is a cracker. I think you would even like that. You're not a fan of the 40% green spot.
Even like that.
Well, you don't. You're not a fan of the green spot 40%. The viscosity of it. You think it's like cooking oil, right?
Yeah, I mean, I try not to say anything negative of whiskey. That's just a my palate thing. It's clearly a fabulous whiskey going with the number of people that like it. Got it. So somebody asked about Longmore. So Daniel's asked about the Longmore, including the 16 kits disappeared.
Daniel Whittington and I share well, you as well. We're all. We should get Longmore 16.
Longmore 15 was another one that I tried by accident at the Cairngorm Hotel in Avonmore.
I ended up buying a bottle on the back of you evangelising about it, and then we ended up
buying the 16.
Well, I think the 16 came first.
You preferred the 16 as
I always preferred the 16, yeah. But Daniel's asking, I've got a Longmorn question. Someone told me this week that the new head of Longmorn that reimagined the new Longmorn 16 included older casks than the previous bottling. Any rumour on that? Well, I don't know. I don't know the details on that. I don't know if you've got any intel on that. It's Longmorn is Chivas, right? It's nothing to do with Graham Zedrington. But my opinion is that, and I think Longmorn was one of the whiskies that taught me about this, that Anoch 16 would be another one. Both Longmorn 16s have a sherry influence in there, but it's very light. It's not sherry forward. It's not sherry bomb. The newer Longmorn 16 is a much richer experience. That could come from European oak, could come from older stock, who knows. But Longmorn 16, the green one, the one that you love, Daniel, Anoch 16 and lots of expressions like that, taught me that sometimes the best way to present a whiskey is just to have a nice spirit, put it in a nice, tired, well-used cask, and leave it there for long enough so that the cask doesn't overpower the spirit still has a voice, the cask has time to have a voice, And over that time, over the extended time, the environment can have a bit of a voice as well. And Longhorn 16 was one of those whiskies that really taught me about subtlety and layers.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
I remember I won't share, but I remember what you said about it.
Why was it rude?
No, it was suggestive. It was picturesque.
No, I think it's okay to say that. I think it's okay to say.
Was it the 15 or the 16?
It was. I remember the night, and
I believe it was something along the lines of it's given me just a little glimpse up its skirt, enough to know that it might have stockings on, but no more than that.
So, and it's that idea, that concept that, you know, whiskey's got layers to reveal, not just in the spirit itself, but through time. Through when you first uncork a whiskey and it's still a wee bit tight, and then it changes through the bottle as well. That was happening at that time as well. That was something through a strength.
We both got like kind of that peach and like petit fruit.
Oh yeah, fresh tropical stone fruits and pineapple, and I want to get a Longhorn 16 now as well. There's been so many of those whiskies. Sorry, Daniel, I can't fill you in on any intel on that, but if I do get it, I'll send you across a wee message as well.
And I kind of agree that somebody had asked as well about the Glenalec A12, Ralphie's Glenalec A12. Again, I would be too humble to say that, you know, a month before that I had put on my Instagram that I thought Glenalec was the most exciting brand around at the minute. I
really miss Graham's humility. I really do. Who asked that? Do you remember?
It was the immediately next question from Daniel's. One up.
Okay.
There it is. Tooch Rose.
Tooch Rose. Do you agree with Ralphie too? Well, I'll tell you what. We opened our Glenalec 12 tonight, and we shared that, and it was very honey driven, I would say, and I found it very honey driven.
Yeah,
but very good whiskey. Very good.
Certainly, as a brand, I think it's one of the most exciting around. I really do.
Well, Billy Walker's at the helm.
Version of the Two Old Boys of the Muppets. I could live with that.
Where did they say that?
They're up again. The Alchemist. Sevies.
This is Sevi. Sevi, one day it'll be you sitting in this seat. You need to be careful. That'd be good fun, actually. And then somebody, Scott, has sent over a virtual dram to the true gentlemen of whiskey. Where are they?
That's me.
It's not me.
It's not nice of them to ignore you.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you so much. And sorry about the clash with the streams earlier. I hope it worked out okay. And so it's the Highland Park, isn't it?
I think we probably benefited from it. That clash in the streams, because I think people who were there have come over to see me.
A downstream thing.
Oh, like was at Disneyland Paris. That's awesome, isn't it?
That's a decent Highland Park right there. Mikey Hayes, I'm good to see you. And there's Daniel's come back and said it's true. Oh, it's jumped. It's true. That would explain why it's a bit smoother, but misses that magical pepper spice of the earlier version. Yeah, it's definitely a spiced finish on Longhorn 16. And but I think that's it's the spirit itself, sure. But I think it was just presented so pitch perfect at 48% ABV as well. Do you remember? It was just that moorish subtlety. There's just every time you finished a dram and that, you felt like it's got more to give. There's something else I can uncover there. There's more and more and more. It's just why I love the stuff so much. When I visited Texas, actually, it was a Longhorn 16 I took to Daniel.
Right,
and I gifted him. And so I know he's a...
Somebody had asked whether your subtitle meant that it was a private video or it was open to non-patrons. And they said if it was, that they would come back later. But it was just going to say, as far as it's open to everybody, isn't it?
It's open to everybody, absolutely. It's open to everybody. The only thing... Does
your subtitle mean it's a kind of private, or is it open to us non-patrons as well?
Greg's asking. No, Greg, it's open to everyone, my friend. The only thing that's different about tonight is that I didn't advertise this. I didn't make a fuss that it was going to happen, and I just kind of put it out to anybody who's got the bell notification switched on, but also notified my patrons in advance. That's the only thing that's different about tonight. So yes, it's open to everyone. What's your preferred Glen Scotia bottling currently? Do you know what? I need to be honest there, and I need to say that, listen, everything coming out of Glen Scotia right now is fantastic. They're doing some great things. It's got lots of character malts. Glen Scotia 15 is wonderful. There's lots of smoked meats on the Glen Scotia 15. I've got the Glen Scotia 16 downstairs as well. It's a travel exclusive. It's very good. But my value for money Glen Scotia is the double cask. It's non-age statement, yes. but it's damn good. Don't prejudge it. Glen Scotia double cask. Have you tried it?
Yeah, we did it. We did Glen Scotia night. Remember, we did Victorian and the double cask and maybe one or two others.
That's right. It was a flight that you'd bought, right?
It was drinks by the dram, and I mean, a lot of time we explored distilleries. Wednesday nights we spent exploring distilleries, buying as many as we could. Drinks by the dram, maybe 5 or 6 different expressions. The Glen Scotia night, I remember being pleasantly surprised because I don't think, maybe you had, but I certainly hadn't tried Glen Scotia before that night a couple of years ago.
For us, Glen Scotia always flew in the shadow of Springbank,
yeah.
I would say, and I think in modern days, and probably for a long time now, that's a mistake. It's not Springbank; it's doing different things, but it's doing it very, very well. And I think obviously the whiskey maker there is the same as the whiskey maker at Loch Lomond. Michael Henry, I think his name is Michael Henry, and I think he must be responsible for the transformation there because it's wonderful stuff. I don't think you can go wrong on a modern Glen Scotia. Just go right ahead at it. Caskmate is saying, how does one get a job at Macallan? It's not easy, is it?
See, it's easier than it used to be when I joined. I basically got a job by telling them I used to be a minister and used to sell people something they couldn't see for a living. And they seem to buy that. There's a lot of
you're just selling a different spirit now. That's the truth, right?
There's a lot of crossover between what I used to do and what I do. Although you're selling a physical product, when you're okay, I'm not selling it, but I'm getting people enthused about a physical product. What you're actually getting them enthused about is the experience. The experience goes beyond just the physical liquid. It has to be good. It has to measure up. But really, what you're talking about is what we're chatting about tonight, which is whiskey fellowship, and getting to meet people because something unique, something special happens when you share a dram with someone. It can bring people together. It can make instant friends. It can bring people together who otherwise would never come together and never find out that they had anything in common. I remember that's a long-winded answer to basically I applied and they said okay. That's sort of the gist of it. I applied that. I went out to several distilleries when we moved to Speyside, and I wanted to try and get into whiskey. I went around several distilleries. I didn't go around all of them. Basically, put up a CV, and Macallan just happened to be the one out of all the ones that I went to that was recruiting at the time. So yeah, that's how I did it.
Basically, when you knew you were moving back to Speyside, you knew you wanted to take that opportunity to find a role in the whiskey industry.
Yeah, and I knew that, although I've got a lot of transferable experience, that I would have to start.
You're still doing ministry. You're still doing local ministry, right?
But I wanted to do something, see if it was possible to do something in whiskey. Then a lot of the stuff you do as a minister, you can do part-time in your spare time as a sort of voluntary thing, and not have to get paid for it. Whereas, I thought I would give it a shot and see how it goes. And I'm still sort of seeing how that goes. It's good fun. The best part of it is all the people you get to meet people from all over the world. You get to enthuse about whiskey. It's wonderful to see people who are not interested when they walk in the door, but by the time they walk out, they're maybe not passionate, but that glimmer has come on, a light has come on, and they've started.
That's all you need to do is plant a seed. And Josh was talking about, Josh from Cast Strength was talking about that he went to the Whiskey Vault and spent time tasting bourbons with Daniel. And that was enough just to take what was a casual interest for him and ignite this fire in him that just made him want to kind of go and explore. And it's just been crazy since then.
But that was partly what I was doing in the church. Was the church brings people together, all different income brackets, all different backgrounds, all different personalities, all different opinions. It's not that different an environment. It's a completely different belief system, but it's not that different an environment. And as to my
you can take the minister out of the church, but you can't take the church out of the minister.
Here into the sermon. Whiskey Freedom had asked if we tried the Thruskit. It's downstairs. I brought it downstairs.
You did. He did, my friend. There. He brought both 24-year-old Thrusks.
And we were very grateful because Lorimer, who you left it with, he posted it to me. He didn't wait for me to pick it up. He posted it.
Fantastic.
Left it with.
Very good. Donald is saying, breaking out some Green Spot Chateau Montelena. That was gifted from a friend in honour of you two chaps. Wow. Fantastic. The Green Spot Montelena actually featured in a Daniel Whittington video. He voted that one of his top 5 whiskies. Is that a spoiler? No, I'm not going to say it. It's not a spoiler. I got a sample of that as well, Donald. It was fabulous stuff. But I already loved Green Spot at 40%, and I love the 46% Chateau Léoville Barton as well. And the Montelena, certainly, I think that's on the list to buy. You picking up chat there as well?
Yeah, I'm just having a little nose.
I think it's about time. Oh, Whiskey in the Six. Rob has sent across a virtual dram as well. There's no moderator tonight.
Whenever I have people from Canada, I mentioned your channel, by the way. Whiskey in the Six.
Only. Oh, you might. I was going to say.
What?
You mentioned Whiskey in the Six's channel. Well, there's a lot of Canadian channels.
The Six is Toronto.
There's a lot of Canadian channels.
I know, but his is the one that you're right. There's a lot. Don't mention all of them. No.
Congratulations on 6K. Happy New Year. Thank you very much, Rob. Congratulations to you on your 5K, my friend. Wonderful, wonderful times in whiskey. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's really good.
A nice, tasty Highland Park. Eyes rolled at Aqvavitae's joke.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Did I make a joke?
Yeah.
Don't really make many jokes, Eric, do I? Jack Singh is saying, agree with you on the Glen Scotia double cask, good value for money, so much character compared to other non-age statement bottles in the same price bracket. Absolutely. I was really surprised by Glen Scotia double cask for the money. So yeah, I mean, Ralphie's out there. He's still not reviewing non-age statement whiskies. And I think he's made a statement and he's kind of stuck to his guns there, which is absolutely fine. But unfortunately, there are little gems out there. And I think we should be talking about them, and I think we should be sharing them. But at the same time, I think Glen Scotia should just pony up and say it's a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old. Because the industry needs to re-educate us again. They've been spending years educating us about age being the thing. When they had loads and loads of stock, the older it became, the better it was. Yeah. Now they need to re-educate us that the 1770 from Glasgow Distillery, yes, it's far too expensive. It's not an inaugural bottling, but it's pretty tasty. When I was in Texas, most of the whiskies I was drinking was aged in months. Okay, it's a different climate, it's a different thing altogether. But it all starts to help you build up an image that my favourite Lagavulins can often be very young. It's just young whiskey, it's okay. And even if they're not confident enough to put a single-digit 8 statement on the front of the bottle, at least put a bit of information. So you're sitting there going, oh, because you've got your industry shoes on. But at least put a bit of information on the back of the label for the geeks so that they can understand a wee bit more about the makeup of the bottle, even if they want to vary it over time. Mikey Hayes saying, has the theWhiskyRev recovered from James Hope beating him at chess? Myself and James are currently neck and neck in a game, and I'm hosting chess. Are you playing virtual chess with these guys?
I guess James has said there he's about to repay the favour. I believe we're 1-0.
Was it one each?
I think I won first and won the second. Now but he clearly doesn't feel that game number 3 is going well.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. So it's 1 each. And who else are you playing chess with? Any of these other guys? Any of the?
I don't know. I've got sort of 6 or 7 games ongoing at any one time, but I don't think anybody wants to play me at chess. I'm all right, but if you're particularly good, then you'll find me an easy beat.
Toby Field was saying he tried HP12 for the first time this week, alongside the Viking Tribe release. Wasn't enamoured by the 12, but liked the Viking Tribe at 46%, smokier on the nose, but sweeter on the palate. Yes. Daniel Whittington is saying, Aqvavitae, one solid reason I heard from Simon Brooken, that's Lefroy, isn't it, Simon Brooken, was that, for example, Lefroy Glore, which is amazing, includes a really young 3 or 4-year-old, but also includes some 20-year-old barrels. But exactly, I mean, that's a solid reason, and that's often the reason that they use for lots of things. Scott Adamson from Tomatin was on a couple of weeks ago on the live stream, and he was talking about that very thing for their Element series, that water, fire, they wanted to show these 4 different profiles, which meant them reaching for vastly different makeups in terms of age and things. So they had to make the whole range roughly the same price, I think. But the ages of the whiskey inside were going to be vastly different in order for them to achieve the flavour profiles. That's what justified the non-age statement in that scenario.
And I don't mind young whiskies and things, but I think what a lot of people would prefer is that when the field distillers are trying to hide it.
Yes.
No, I think that's.
And that's.
I don't mind if it's nice and it's good quality stuff. I don't mind.
It's all degrees of transparency. It's not like you're concealing and exposing. There's all sorts of kind of subtleties in between, but I think that's when people are left with the feeling that they're suddenly, you know, if the similar packaging is out there, but suddenly it's not got an age statement on it anymore. I think that's deceptive.
Yeah.
And I think that it's okay to tell people that it's Dwayne Large just sent across a dram as well. Thank you so much, Dwayne. He's saying, hi guys, a very nice show with some obvious great friends. Yeah, I'm a bit nervous about what kind of show this is actually, but I'm okay.
I actually think it will be entertaining if everybody who's watching gets an insight into what we would normally have been like on a Wednesday night.
Well, that's a good thing. As I finish this chat, let's see. Happy New Year, Roy and Graham, and a wonderful whiskey year to both of you. Slant you, Dwayne, thank you very much. It's time for you to come up with your number 2 reason why you're grateful for my whiskey friendship.
Well, let's follow on from the story of Roy's first whiskey video. And, you know, Roy was very much the sort of, right, Graham, I think if you can help in this video, that'd be great. But I think keep your face off the camera. And we'll only have Roy's face in the camera. No, we don't need your face on the camera, Graham. We'll just have your hands. And if you watch back in that video, you do see my hands occasionally on the camera. But that was, if you do, by the way, you should go back and like that video because it doesn't have as many views as I think it justifies. That was the one with the blind tasting, wasn't it?
There was 2 blind
grain tastings with the.
It was grain, single grain first.
But from watching that and then being able to watch Roy's channel growing, I would like to thank you for introducing me to this online whiskey community that we now interact with through, well, we started off with Instagram and Twitter, and then it was moved on to YouTube. Okay, YouTube is much more your thing, but he has allowed me to become involved in it every step of the way, every level, and it's not an exaggeration to say that he could have just gone off and done his own thing and said, yeah, you know, Graham was helpful and useful and all the rest of it at the beginning, but he didn't. He has, as he's moved on and gone from strength to strength and success to success, he has allowed me to stay with him on that journey. And I have found that a wonderful blessing, and I really appreciate that.
It's not that I've allowed you. I mean, imagine a scenario that when you moved away as well. I mean, I wouldn't have just been bereaved in terms of having a whiskey friend gone. I would have been potentially bereaved in terms of one of the pillars of the channel disappeared as well. But there was also the thing at the time that I don't know, we'd never actually sat down and fully talked out you appearing on camera, because in my head it was...
That was just a joke.
I know, but I remember us talking about it once upon a time. Do you remember I made you a WhiskyRev t-shirt with a logo?
It was too tight.
Yeah,
it was cool.
Had the WhiskyRev logo on the t-shirt and things like that, with the view that if he should ever appear on camera like this, that he would be wearing such a thing. That was kind of the naivety of my thinking at the time. but
he also did make cards.
Ooh, will that focus?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that focused?
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Think it. If you're persistent there, you can see how like me that looks. I need to look a bit stern.
Yeah. I got his likeness. I'm not.
And he made that for me. That was a gift. He wouldn't let me pay for these.
I'm not a caricature artist, but I think I managed to capture the WhiskyRev quite well. So there you go.
But what I mean is he did more than he had to. In bringing me along, because I wasn't that interested in the whole YouTube thing at the very beginning, and Roy did and has immersed himself in it. And
well, I think it is, especially in our age with young families that we are, we don't go out, we don't socialize outside of the house very often these days, right? And having a whiskey community around you is fantastic, but not all of us live in a populous area. Not all of us have whiskey clubs and things. So discovering an online community where everybody gets to know each other is really kind of cool. And a lot of the faces in here are there's Welsh Toro in here, Tom R, of course, Tom, James Hope is in, Reb Mordecai, Sevi the Alchemist, Paul Gibbs. These guys are, you know, you get to recognize these little icons and these names. And it's very comforting and familiar. Cashmate is saying nothing wrong with young whiskey like Villainay. It's absolutely amazing. I agree with you completely, Matthias. What turns me off is young whiskey covered in sherry to make it seem more rounded, or not just sherry, but young active or virgin bourbon oak casks as well. Paul Gibbs is saying, Aqvavitae, don't forget to give the Rev his drams. Yes, you've got a selection of, in fact, they're down there in bubble pack still. If you can see a pack of 6 drams in bubble pack, that's a 6-pack of Dalyuans. Mind your head when you come up on the window. Yeah. So Paul gave us three
Wow.
different sets.
I remember the discussion about them.
Yeah. So there's one in there for you and one in there for me of each.
So I bought the Boutique Whiskey Company Dalyoun at the Glasgow Whiskey Festival. So I shall.
Dalyoun's, that was an epiphany distillery for us, right?
Yeah.
What was the first Dalyoun? Would it have been the Flora and Fauna?
It was. I think I have the photograph on my Instagram of the first Dalyoun. I think it was Drinks by the Dram.
Was it Flora and Fauna? Because we did a Dalyoun flight.
Yes, we did.
Drinks by the Dram. And we were trying to buy everything because there was one that was really poor, remember? It wasn't poor, it was...
Was that not the long one?
Was that long one?
Really disappointed that one was... It was like a fourth fill.
Yeah.
I don't know if it said that, but that was certainly our perception of it.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a 16-year-old and it was straw-coloured.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that
no,
long one?
In fact, I remember exactly what it was. It was a 22-year-old.
Was it?
Well,
we won't say what it was,
no,
but yeah.
But yes, so we have Dalyoun, and I drive past Dalyoun every day, and I just, every time I taste it, I am surprised all over again how good it is. So thank you. Who's it these are from?
Paul Gibbs. Bearded Whiskey on Twitter, Paul Gibbs.
Oh,
lovely guy as well.
Yes.
I met him up for a dram in Edinburgh, Paul Gibbs. He was up in Edinburgh and took a train through to meet him. I went to Scotch Malt Whisky Society and we're sitting dramming away, sitting having a dram, and a nice, lovely guy, butcher by trade, nice guy to talk to. And he's just sitting there stroking his beard, chatting away, and he just turns around and lets it loose that it's his birthday on that day. And his wife was off doing something else, and he's sitting drinking whiskey with me. I was like, whoa. And he said, no, we're here, we're drinking whiskey. And we had a few nice drams that night. That was a nice night, Paul. Unfortunately, I think I missed you the last time that you were up, but maybe next time. Close enough to focused, Aqvavitae.
They're all saying how good you are at designing my card. You got the likeness perfect.
Well,
that's what they're saying.
I'll take that. Mikey Hayes sent across a virtual dram as well. Thank you very much. Happy New Year to both of you. Thanks for all the fantastic whiskey memories, streams, and quizzes. Can't wait for 2019. Well, more of the same for next year, Mikey, and I hope that maybe I'm able to come up with a couple of other original concepts as well. Do you know there are more homages, parodies, copies, and otherwise recycled reviews out there than there are recycled reviews?
I don't believe it. But you just hit, and again, you just found a niche and hit it.
Yeah.
And the fact that there were 97 people waiting for you to go online tonight when this wasn't a pre-announced live chat, I think shows just how well you hit that niche. With the live chats, with the recycled, with everything, with the whiskey pronunciation, the ABCD, the whole lot.
Well, I think also what's cool and what you see happening here is that they're coming in, and I'm kind of the host or the bartender on the Thursday nights.
Yeah.
But really, they don't need me because they can socialize amongst themselves. There's friendships being carved out of this channel. That's why I call it a lounge. You know, the chat room. There's a whiskey club. The London Whiskey Club has been founded inside this chat. Jez, James, Shiv, Jason Whiskey-Wise, Mikey Hay. If I'm going to forget somebody, but this London Whiskey Club has been formed out of this community and beside the channel, grown inside YouTube. It's just, that's awesome to consider. I'm desperate.
But it also means that when you meet people, you already know them, or you feel you know them.
Yeah. Malt Content is saying, what, Roy, no happiers or Bonkers on a Friday night? Bonkers, remember, I don't know if you ever went to Bonkers, but that was a place. I was thinking about Bonkers recently. It used to be quite a cool nightclub in Glasgow many years ago. I don't know if it's still going. I doubt it. And Donald is saying, WhiskyRev tried the Lot 40 cask strength yet? Yes, I gave you a Lot 40 cask strength, didn't I?
I've had a little sip of it. I held it.
I don't give you a dram?
You did. The reason I haven't drunk it all is because I thought we would do it on a Google Hangouts or something.
I've got a wee drop of that left, so we maybe could do it.
But yes, I have tried it and was very, very impressed.
Donner Pass is saying, really enjoyed the new Longmorn 16 this year. Wish I could find an old one. Would rather have paid a few bucks less for a less elaborate bottle and box. Yeah, it used to be £50, Donner Pass. And one of the reasons I was angry at Chivas is that they had the Longmorn 16 48% age statement on there, non-chill filtered, natural colour written on the label. And then they replaced it with a 40% non-age statement, chill filtered, coloured distiller's choice at the same price. That's exactly the kind of cynical thing that we're talking about earlier. And I felt that was a shame because I confidently bought that Longmorn distiller's choice on our previous Longmorn experiences of the other Longmorns that we'd tried, of the 15-year-old, the 16, and all the kind of indies that we'd tried. And what's your opinion of the distiller's choice?
I don't say negative about the other.
Right, that's enough.
But I will say that the Longmorn 16 will always rank as one of my all-time favourite whiskies. I haven't tried the new 16 since it was re-released. I know it's different. It's not pretending to be the same whiskey as the old 16, but I would love to get my hands on it. It's highly recommended by others.
I'm going to go on to my third thing.
Somebody was quoting Shakespeare there. Did you see that?
No, but I can imagine that's the type of thing that, there's
all
Tom.
All hail Dal Ewan thing of...
My very generous friend Tom R as well has dropped in another dram for us. And he's saying, I picked up a bottle of Aaron 15 Binny's Pick. So I guess Binny's is a Chicago or an Illinois store. Fully sherry matured after hearing your praise of the distillery. Can't wait to try it tomorrow. Oh, I'd be curious to hear how you got on with it, Tom. I hope you really enjoy it. But
that will be awesome. That will be awesome.
Yeah, fully sherry matured. Aaron, fantastic.
Aaron Tom, 14 was the first Aaron that I tried.
Just a wee teaspoon. A wee teaspoon of... We're pouring the 8687.
A wee teaspoon.
Oh, we've got a fair bit to get through, haven't we? I don't know how long this stream is going to go. We promised the ladies that we should probably just keep it to an hour, right?
Yeah, look at this, Gregor, right?
But we're at an hour.
Aqvavitae is at the top of this community for all the reasons I've said. And more numbers don't cover the true strength of Roy's role. You'd have been too humble to read that out, right?
Who said that?
Gregor.
Checks in the post, Gregor. Thank you very much. I've put it in a new glass.
Oh, thank you.
So this is Klein Leash Cask 8687, one of the most transcendent. Just jumps. But this is Brora, right?
Yeah.
How similar is this to Brora? Obviously, this is not a smoky whiskey. But
this is what we had as a prelude.
Take a Brora, take a Brora, take the smoke out of a Brora. This is what you've got. Am I right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's
the same DNA.
It's just an exceptional whiskey. What have I missed here? Thank you very much for those nice words as well, Gregor. Thank you. And here's to Tom R, my friend over in Illinois, Chicago somewhere. Cheers, Tom.
Cheers. Thank you, Tom.
But it is, isn't it? James Hope and Jez bought me a bottle of this.
I know they're lovely people.
In fact, I think I said I'd send them a sample of this.
That's not that.
No. It's still sealed. It's still sealed. But it must be. I think that's my sixth, and that when they got me would have been about my seventh bottle. There are only 600 bottles in it from the cask. Tony Evans has sent. I love to see you in the Rev head to head in a quiz. Ooh.
If the only distillery that existed was Klein Leash, I would still be a whiskey enthusiast. What about you? Not quite as much of an anorak, but
this would probably if this was what all whiskey tasted like, it would probably be my tipple.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful that there's other whiskies out there to contrast this.
Absolutely.
Because
whiskey's a landscape, isn't it? And you explore it. It's like a journey with no destination. But there's lots of little nooks and crannies and places, side roads to explore as you go along.
Wee distractions and things. Absolutely.
Somebody had said there, somebody had asked whether there was more of that. Like Linstall's, you can keep going.
My wife has given me permission to continue.
That's very kind. That's our wives saying that they're quite happy for us not to go down and spend time with them, isn't it? That's what they're.
I think so.
So yes, somebody had asked there if there was more batches than like Klein Leash to be released. When you went, in fact, when we were there, Symington editor Andrew Symington said that he had plenty more similar casks. Is that right? I can't remember. I wasn't there, but
because by the second or third time I turned up at editor to buy more of this stuff, he said, "Relax. There's lots of this stock available. It's going to be bottled for a while into the future. There will be more, but obviously not from that cask. So there is variation." And we had a problem with one of these where it was corked. Do you remember? One of mine was corked.
The raw turnip one.
It just tasted like raw vegetables, and it really wasn't nice. And I was really disappointed. So I took up this bottle to Edredor with a couple of drams out of it. And it was Andrew Symington that came and he opened it, and he said, "Boys, it's turned straight away."
He instantly told you what the bacteria was.
Yeah, he explained it. There was no question. I bought that from the Whiskey Exchange. He didn't care. That wasn't one of his bottles. He didn't care. He said, "Go and pick anyone you want from the shelf. I don't have any of that cask." But there was 11233, I think, was the cask that I replaced it with. And I've still got some of that downstairs as well, which is a very creamy, light, much more kind of, it was still from a refill sherry, but it was much more a kind of vanilla style Clynelish. Still wonderful, wonderful whiskey. And Durpass Whiskey is saying, have you tried Liquor Hound Space Side of the Year, Craigellachie 23? We could.
Well, no,
I have tried it. I have tried it.
Yeah.
I've got some in my stash, and I'll tell you that if Liquor Hound picked the Craigellachie 23 and then realised that it was far too expensive for most people to get their hands on, and then recommended the 13 on the back of it, saying that it's linked, it's the same DNA. Craigellachie 13 and Craigellachie 23 are not even in the same ballpark. They're made at the same distillery. If you put them side by side, you might be able to pick some vague family links, I think. Maybe texture, but they are not the same whiskies. They are nothing to compare. If you want to try Craigellachie 23, you just need to pony up and pay the money. It's anywhere from £200 to £300 in the UK. Is it worth it? This brings me on to the next thing I need to be thankful to you for. Is it worth it? I don't know. I think it depends on your means. For me, Craigellachie 23 is a showstopper. Craigellachie 13 is a good whiskey. I wouldn't suggest that the 13 could in any way replace a Craigellachie 23 experience, though. Sean Hardesty has said, have a great year. Sean, that's a new name as well. Thank you very, very much for dropping in a virtual dram as well.
Thank you, Sean.
Tonight. Thank you, Sean.
Happy New Year when it comes.
Like to try this Clynelish, want to know what's the fuss. How much of it do you think is the quality of that dram, and how much do you think of it is the quality of that dram married to that moment and the moments we've had with it since? See, as it sits on my palate just now, it's the whiskey is talking. That barley sugar thing that we talk about, you said it's like red boiled candy, right?
Yeah, we used to get as kids. Well, you still get them some places, but it's quite popular here. Like a red, it was like a candy dummy.
A dummy, as
like a lollipop.
In America, they would say a comforter, right? A baby's comforter.
Right. And that's what I get from that. I don't know. It sort of has taken on a legendary status for us.
For us,
right? Yeah. And it always will. But I tell you what, who to direct that question to. From the same parcel of stock, Karen Moore released one of their, I can't remember the series, but it's from the same parcel of stock. And they were selling it in the pot still. It was quite an expensive pour in a pot still, but it was worth it because I was sitting there with Mikey Hay, who's probably still, I hope you're still in here tonight, Mikey. But I got him a dram of this whiskey, or as near as damn it this whiskey. I would say it was as close as I've ever tasted. And he had one in the pot still. So ask Mikey Hay what his opinion was. He was completely separate from us. He didn't enjoy it with us. He didn't hear any programming from us previously. But those associations can add a lot to whiskey, and I think it's a great thing that it does.
Yeah.
In the way that a piece of music or a smell can take you back to a particular whiskey does the same.
Absolutely.
However, in as much as I can detach myself from the experiences that we've had with this whiskey and the stories that go along in our experience with it, I would have to say I think it lives up to the impression that we are no doubt giving of it.
Eric Waite as well, you star Eric. He's just bought me a virtual dram as well. He said, I'm thankful to Roy for teaching me how to drive in Scotland and introducing me to haggis. You're very, very welcome, Eric. It was a pleasure and a privilege to get to hook up with you this year as well. I think Eric got to meet both of us because you toured him at Macallan, didn't you? Thank you very much, my friend. I'm going to have this last sip of Clynelish as I thank the Rev for my third, what would you call it, nugget of friendship gratefulness. Cheers, buddy. Thank you, Eric. Cheers.
Thank you, Eric.
Actually, there's two things.
I used a joke. that Eric gave me when I'm taking people on tour. Because we have
that Eric gave you a joke.
Yeah, we have
But
Highland.
if you do it on tour, is it okay to share it on? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
Is it a dad joke?
Well, it was an Eric joke, so if it's rubbish, it's on him. However, if it's good, then it was my sound judgment.
Well, you like it enough to share it, so go.
Well, no, it's not really. We have Highland cows at Macallan, and you get to the point where you can, the start of the tour. Remember the start of the tour when you get to the top of the stairs,
yes,
and you look down, and you see the cows. Quite often they're not there because they're down the hill, and you can explain to people that they're able to see them at the end. But you see, by that point, you've had 5 whiskies. You can also maybe see the unicorn that live in the field, and I use that on most tours now as a way of, because it's the very beginning. It's
icebreaker, right?
Yeah, it gives them an idea that okay, this guy's not just here to lecture to us. We can actually have a bit of fun. And yeah, I stole that joke from Eric, and it's been very useful in softening up people who are first.
So you use an Eric Waite joke at the start of a Macallan tour, Eric.
Yes.
I think that's a very cool thing. So that brings me
never
to
given him any credit.
That brings me to my, when I said that the 2 things I'm going to share then is going to be your wisdom, because occasionally you were able to pause and think for a second. Maybe this is because of your theology. Maybe it's because of your time in the police force. Maybe it's because
you're just wise.
Because you're not a wise guy, but occasionally you could come out with a nugget of wisdom that I kind of treasured. One of them is from Homer Simpson, however, and I constantly use little quotes from you regularly, and I'm very conscious that they're your quotes, and I would like to think that the majority of the time I remember, and I as my whiskey friend, the WhiskyRev used to say or something, but it's like quotes like, whiskey, is there anything it can't do? And just tonight when we were talking about the Brora 40 that we got to share, and you said, when you like whiskey, because we were sitting there, we were really intimidated at this 1972 Brora 40-year-old. I mean, like the unicorn, the pinnacle of whiskey experiences. And we were wondering what to drink to build up to this experience. Sure. And I remember you were saying when people work out that you like whiskey, whiskey comes to you. And it was a friend of yours that gave you us the opportunity to enjoy that Brora. Yeah. So I'd like to thank you for your wisdom, but that wasn't actually the real thing. It was the Eric Waite story that made me think about that. The thing I want to thank you for is that Whiskey Wednesdays brought a scenario to us that was a bit like an arms race, right? It was, here's my bottles that I bought this week, or here's what I've bought, and you would bring yours round. And where I would have 5 things to share, you would bring 1. And you were doing it the right way. I think you taught me much. I was preaching quality over quantity forever, but I was practicing scattergunning and get my hands on as much as I possibly could. And you were researching, and you were going out and buying like one. Now it was significantly more expensive often than the bottles I was buying as well. So think of expressions like Old Pulteney 17 and Old Pulteney 21, the Octomore, all of these really quite normally expensive whiskies you would bring round and say, here you go, I bought this. We're opening this tonight. So I need to apologise to my wife and be grateful for you at the same time, because where I used to struggle to spend more than £50 on a bottle of whiskey, within 6 months of you enjoying whiskey, you blew that barrier out of the water. Suddenly £100 plus was not. You would avoid buying all the cheaper ones, probably because I was feeding you the cheaper ones. So yeah, I would like to thank you for, that sounds like a negative thing, but it's not, for expanding my whiskey horizon and teaching me that you can't say quality over quantity, you have to practice it too. And it's absolutely true.
So I would thank you for the completely inverse thing. And it's only because but it's true. I'm not just saying this to be reflective.
This doesn't trump the one that you've already got lined up.
No, I do have another one lined up.
Okay, good.
But only because of our friendship and those Whiskey Wednesdays that I was able to try as many different whiskies as I was, because you bought them in greater quantity and were happy to share. So Yeah, I am. Somebody else likes Old Palt in there. Did you see that? So yeah, I had. If it had just been down to me, I would have ended up with a smaller collection. Yeah, of bottles that I had researched, and maybe we were sort of slightly higher end within that the kind of margins that we were operating. But at the same time, we were able to explore different parts of the whiskey landscape because
variety was,
and you also were more willing to buy bottles that you hadn't tasted before. Whereas I was always a bit more cautious on that.
I was more of a gambler, whereas you were researching, which is probably why you felt it safer to talk about more, or to. I think it's when you were spending your money, it was more money, but you'd put a lot more effort into it. Whereas for me, it was often a tick box. Glenlossie. Oh, I've never tried a Glenlossie. Let's buy a Glenlossie, right? Because it was just that idea that, and the naivety at the time, that a Glenlossie was always going to taste like a Glenlossie. Whereas now we understand fully that that's not the case at all.
But then things that give us direction. Ian Buxton's 101 Whiskies to Try Before You Die.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
Superb.
I still recommend that book to people now, even though it's quite out of date. It's quite out of date now, but it's still a massively inspirational book. Look at this wax.
There was a new edition of it. It's still worth getting hold of the old edition, although it's harder to get some of the whiskies now because they're discontinued. That is a lot of wax.
It is, yeah.
And we tried some from that book that we bought, almost as a joke, expecting them to be not that great. Mellowcorn.
Yeah, yeah.
And we
for our 40th, for his 40th, I got you something else as well. But I bought you a bottle. It wasn't your 40th, actually, was it?
No, was it not? It was Christmas. It was Christmas.
Was it Christmas?
And
did we buy each other?
We bought each other a bottle of Mellowcorn.
That's right.
Without realising it. Because we had got 2 drinks by the dram, and we sat down. It was in the book, but it doesn't talk in the book about. It's not a book of awards. It's not a book of the best whiskies I've ever tasted.
It's not tasting notes.
They're worth the whiskies that are worth exploring. So we got that one because it was the cheapest in the book.
Yeah.
We got 2 drinks by the drams, tried them, and yeah, we were remarkably pleasantly surprised to the extent that we bought each other a bottle of it for Christmas that year.
So we did. So let's just add a little addendum on to the end of that statement that yes, we did. We bought each other gifts, and we laughed out loud when we realised we bought each other the same gift. But it was fairly inexpensive. I mean, in the States, it's like $15. But here it was £40, right? Something like that. £30, £40, I don't know. But be honest, do you still have a lot of that Mellowcorn left?
Do you know what's at the back of the cupboard? I suspect I probably have.
I've still got a lot of Mellowcorn left. I've still got half a bottle of it left. And that we're going back 5 years maybe. So, so that tells you a little bit. I get
Play-Doh from it. Remember we used to?
Yeah, quite chemically putty.
They would say, but not unpleasant. No, I mean you wouldn't.
But we enjoyed it.
Like a 12-year cling, we used to get to it. But
that's right. We enjoyed it. I'm opening a bottle actually. I'm having an American whiskey with you now, and this is where I've kind of moved, and you're putting a toe in your water, but you're not there yet. But this is a bottle that I've tried. I know what this tastes like because this was cracked open at the Ralphie tasting, and this was brought over to me and gifted to me by Ross. Mashburn. I don't know if Ross is in tonight, but when I was sharing all the gift bottles that had been given to me by the community this year, it was sitting on the table and I just skipped over it and I forgot to mention it. So I apologise to Ross and Jill. And I'll link this little timestamp in the video. I can't get this thing open. Need to work on the core strength.
Whenever I take people around the distillery from the States, I always make a point of asking them for recommendations for American whiskey. Again, it's a good way to get people to thank you.
I think this is not the type of American whiskey that you're familiar with. I think that the last couple of years for me have been transformative. Going to the States this year as well helped that hell of a lot. But the Scotch Test Dummies got me into Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, Triple Cap. I don't know if Walt's in tonight. He got me into Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof. Wonderful whiskies, and just that extra ABV, and where things have not been diluted. It says 9-year-old on the label, but 14-year-old on the store pick label. So it's a store pick.
Right, somebody asked if it was the Mashburn.
Now I should tell you that we're following one of our most transcendental whiskey epiphanies with this Knob Creek, but I know that has the power to stand up to it, no problem. Whiskey Jason is saying he also just poured Knob Creek 60% ABV. Well, what is this one? My goodness, a cork's tight. Yeah, 120 proof, 60% ABV. 60%. And I think they're perhaps watering that to arrive at 60%. Do you know that? Wee bit of demonized water in it.
That's fabulous. I'm also getting touches of Play-Doh from it.
Well,
not a bad way.
That's that really kind of sweet concentrated vanilla. It's not just
Play-Doh's a great smell.
It's not just like a vanilla smell. It's like the vanilla essence, the little droppers that you don't bake cakes in. Concentrated vanilla. How are you enjoying it, Jason? Let us know how you're enjoying it as well. Scottish Testamis is saying that's going to be a very good bottle. Well, like I said, Ralphie got gifted this by Ross as well. Ross and Jill gifted a bottle to Ralphie at the tasting, and Ralphie, being Ralphie, just tried to open it at the tasting and started just pouring it into people's glasses and sharing it out at the tasting. So I got to taste this, and I know even after a flight of 6 at Ralphie's tasting, I know how this stood up. Daniel's constantly having. I've not got a moderator tonight, Daniel, so I'm having to clear your foul language. But it's saying that if anybody's looking for him, he'll be out the back getting the crap beat out of him by Stag Junior, 62.3%. Now that's interesting because the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof was close to 70%, 69.7, and I think there's been a couple of releases from them that has actually hit the 70. What's the strongest Scotch that you're aware of? I'm going to wait for that to descend upon you. It's bourbon, but not as you know it, right? Or is it? Am I putting words in your mouth?
No, that needs a moment.
It's not the same drink.
No, it's not. It's not. Oh, that's a whiskey to chew on, isn't it?
Why do they water it down? Okay, that's not to everybody's palate. You can't pour that neat for everybody. So many people that's not used to drinking ABV of that strength. I mean, ABV is always the barrier, right? It's always the big block. But tell me, does that, to your palate, to where you are in whiskey, that's not that hot? I think I'm aware there's lots of grip and texture. There's lots of spice there. There's lots of... It's very cinnamony. It's like a really hot cinnamon stick right now. But there's lots of... But I don't feel the need to suddenly be drowning that in water.
No, there are some whiskies that when you hold it in your mouth, the longer you hold it in your mouth, they sort of evolve and change and dismantle themselves, and it's worth holding.
I'm going to put a wee...
When that says it aged 9 years, and you know that kind of principle, you hold it one second for every year. I don't really hold to that. No. And you could hold that in your mouth for a full minute.
Yeah. 60% ABV.
So don't ask me anything for the next 60 seconds, right?
So you should thank Ross and Jill.
Ross and Jill.
It is, Scott. You're absolutely right. It's a very good bottle. Jez Batty saying thank you for mentioning. Oh, it disappears so quickly.
23rd of January, we're saying, is the next Whiskey Club open to everybody.
23rd of January. What, shall I check my flights? Hey Siri, set reminder.
Okay, tell me what you want to be reminded about.
Check flights for the London Whiskey Club, 23rd of January. There you go, Jez. I'll check the flights. I am going to turn up at one of these events one day. Donna, are you coming down to London for a night?
Yeah, why not?
Donna Pass Whiskey is saying, oh, you got a store pick, those are even better. Yeah, 14-year-old. So it says 9 years old here. Look, age 9 years down the bottom. And then there's a kind of this silver label up here that says 14 years. And again, I can't tell you. I think it's probably the longest age bourbon I'm aware of ever tasting. Whiskey Jason is saying often around 62 to 68% ABV, absolutely. Dwayne Large is saying Knob Creek is great, one of my favourite bourbons. Dwayne as well gifted me a Tanner's Creek Indiana bourbon, an Elijah Craig small batch. it's been very. You talk about me being generous. This community has been amazingly generous to me this year. It's really taken me by surprise. Multi Haggis Muncher is in. Christina Zerpoli is in as well. Good to see you, Christina. The Aqvavitae, the bourbon evangelist. See, I can't evangelize. I can evangelize about bourbon being tasty or good, but I don't feel like I've got much to share on bourbon. I'm not knowledgeable enough. Aqvavitae and Daniel Whittington. Daniel just did the ECBP. Did he just review it? Did he? Superb. How would you compare that?
When I tasted that, sorry, I think it came from the Scottish Testimonies, didn't it?
What's that
The
one?
Elijah Craig barrel proof that was first tried came from them.
Do you want to try it?
I've tried it. Do you remember when they first sent you one?
Yeah, I was wondering if you want to try it alongside this one. What else have we got?
Actually, I wouldn't want to rush this one.
What else have we got to fit in? I think we're.
I mean,
I think
in Roy's house. We've got pretty much every whiskey under the sun. At the moment, though, I'm not sure what could follow that.
Well, that's right, and I mean that's what I'm
flavour.
talking about. I mean, it's such a powerful prospect, that style of whiskey, that it does. You can. I mean, I don't think it's a great thing that we don't taste the Clynelish anymore, but we can always taste the Clynelish again. You know that. I think it would be difficult to follow this. You would have to go with a cask strength Islay to follow this. I think.
I think unless you're drinking something particularly strong, then you would do a disservice to whatever follows that.
But it is a pause. It's a hold your attention. I tell you, could follow this. The Lot 40 cask strength. We may pour a Lot 40 cask strength. I mean, that's spice. Chili
Somebody's
spice.
got you a price, look. Keith, 60 quid return, leaving the 23rd, returning the 25th.
60 quid return. Which London airport is that to, Keith?
Not one with any drones.
Not Gatwick, because little drones can keep those planes out of the sky down there. That's interesting. Listen, I think we're getting close to winding up, and I think that did you give me all the reasons that you're grateful for my friendship?
I haven't. The third one. Well, I did.
You didn't.
I have given you
Is there
three
another
or
one to come?
four, right? But the one I didn't give you one that I was going to mention.
If there's another one, then don't let me stop you.
We'll come back and we'll do it all again. I would thank Roy because Roy took me to my first distillery, and I fell in love with distilleries. You remember what it was?
Yes. Well, let me think. Wait, how could I have taken you to the first?
And it was so memorable for him.
Did we walk? Did we walk there?
No, that was our second. In fact, no, it wasn't our second. But we certainly didn't walk to the first one. No.
Oh crap! Oh wow! It wasn't. It wasn't Glengoyne.
No, but we've been to Glengoyne, what, 3 or 4 times? And we both love Glengoyne. We walked to Glengoyne. We get the train from here, and then it's on the West Highland Way, which is a long-distance walking route that runs from Glasgow up to Fort William, 100 miles. Glengoyne Distillery is on that, so we walked along that. Twice, and I think we walked once there and then back, and then we walked once and just stopped off on the way to Balmaha.
We're getting an invite. How do we get Scottish Distilleries, Daniel Whittaker and other tubers over to the UK?
A few weeks ago.
How about the whiskey? Well, he's got that lovely palatial venue in the West Midlands, right? Is it the West Midlands Whisky Freedom? I can host about 100 of you at the Manor. This sounds nice, doesn't it? And I've got Sevi the Alchemist who's willing to. Oh my goodness, the way she wants to keep us on.
They must be having a great chat downstairs, is all I can say.
So yes, I admit I've forgotten.
How does he know that?
Who?
Multi Haggis Muncher.
Oh my God, Auchentoshan. I'd forgotten that.
Was that a guess, or have we spoken about that before? I'm not us, but you.
No, I don't think I've spoken about it before because I've certainly not mentioned it to Matthew because I only remember that's true because we get given vouchers or something.
Somebody in my church actually, as a thank you, gave me a bottle of Auchentoshan 3-wood, and I'll be honest with you, when I first opened it was the first sherried whiskey, the first heavily sherried whiskey that I had tasted, and I didn't instantly like it, and then back to it after a few weeks and began to like it. And since, of course, I really like sherry whiskies now. But we went with your friend, our friend
Keith. We went with Keith. Yeah. Keith's dad knows somebody that worked for Bamor.
Yeah.
It'd be Beam Suntory now, right? And they got us some discount tickets or some. It was a gift. It was a Christmas gift.
Emojis put on multi-haggis mushroom kid, please.
I couldn't have said that. I don't think I said that to you, Matthew, because I don't. Macallan Final Rare saying no shaky.
But yes, so we went to Aqvavitae, and that was the first distillery that I had ever been to. And then I can't remember the order after that. We did go to Glen. We spent a couple of years afterwards 4 days up in Speyside, and we did Glenfarclas and Glenfiddich, and
no, you need this. You've only had a wee sip of this.
Yeah.
When we talk about chili and whiskey, this defines it for me, and it's not obvious when it arrives. It sits for a minute and then starts its engine on your tongue. It's quite. This is an event whiskey, really.
So yes, anyway, just to finish that story, no doubt I would have found my way to a distillery at some point or another and done a tour and fallen in love with the whole distillery thing. But it was Roy that first took me there. And although we moved up to Speyside without any particular specific plan, that was where I wanted to go, and that's where I have, for the moment anyway, ended up. So I would trace it back to you, because you loved distilleries. Before then, we'd been at Glengoyne, you'd been at one or two.
I mean, that's the only thing I could say that it's to anybody in the community when they talk about whiskey. You can enjoy whiskey remotely, and you can enjoy whiskey anywhere you are, and especially if you've got friends to share it with, you can enjoy whiskey. But when you go and walk the ground and touch the surfaces and taste the air, it's not the words that's getting spoken. It's not the reason. It's not the USPs or any of that. Yeah. There's a deep understanding, and you connect with the place, and you realize how rudimentary some things are, honestly, right? It's not high tech. There's very little tech in distilleries. And it makes you, it kind of switches the lights on another level, another layer. Anybody that's not visited a distillery yet, that's something you have to build up to look forward to, and try and make that happen wherever you are. I know it's not easy for you all. Whiskey Geek is saying, cheers for hosting the community again, Roy. He sent us a virtual dram. Thank you very, very much, my friend. Paint's drying on my whiskey studio, and it's looking good. Come share a dram if you ever come my way. So this is Ben. He started his own YouTube channel. And one of the projects that he's done recently is he's doing up his whiskey studio now at home, which I need to do, because we can't always sit in my loft space up here. And
this is an awesome whiskey place.
Well, it's served me quite well. And if I do move a studio downstairs, it has to be painted the same colour. It has to have the same images hanging and things. But the problem is that I work here. This is where I work daily. So all these lights have to come down, and I have to set up a camera and things again as well.
What do you say to that?
Daniel, what the? Thank you so much. I tell you what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to pick a special bottle, and I'm actually going to open it here now. We're drinking event whiskies now, so for me to go and find a Scotch that can keep up with this, for the donation that you've just sent me, can you drive the bus for a while?
Yeah. Right, it's gone. It means I can order things through his Alexa without him hearing. You're right about the chili. Sometimes, when you put your face into, if you've ever had the opportunity of doing this, when you're going around the distillery tours and you get to the washbacks, and particularly if it's the old wooden type, you can open them up, put your face in.
Sorry about the noise.
That's okay. I get a little bit of that when you put your face in, and then it stings.
What is this the lot 40? Have you
Yes.
sipped it yet?
Yes.
Oh, did I miss you sipping it?
I sipped it before you left.
So do you know?
Whiskey Freedom's asked for a sermon. Your time to shine, right?
Yeah, a whiskey sermon.
If Lynn wasn't watching, I could have just ordered you lots of obscure things off of Alexa.
Abuse the Alexa. You could have done that. Go ahead. Right. Okay, Daniel. If you're still in, if you've not disappeared on me, you get to pick. For that donation, you get to pick which one of these is getting uncorked tonight. There's every chance that one of these was going to get uncorked over New Year anyway, but you get to pick. Craig Ellicky 23, apparently it's going down very well with Liquor Hound. It's an absolutely interstellar whiskey. It's fabulous. This is a gift to me from my wife this year. This is a G&M licensed Mortlach at 25 years old. I could probably take this out to let you see the colour of this.
While you're doing that, right, there's a debate going on between whether Auchentoshan or Glengoyne is closer to Glasgow.
Auchentoshan's practically in Glasgow.
Yeah, but because of where I grew up, which was north of Glasgow, Glengoyne was my local
Closer.
one.
Yeah.
But they're both excellent. And Glengoyne, though, it's just an absolute favourite of ours, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Glengoyne
Absolutely. They can make fabulous spirit at Auchentoshan. They often present it to a different market, I think, bartenders and things.
Yeah.
But it's still fabulous spirit, and it's one of the very few triple distilled in Scotland, and it's literally just on the outskirts of Glasgow, whereas Glengoyne's actually in the Highlands. It's starting to get really quite countryside, and it's at the bottom of the Campsies, isn't it? Dumgoyne Hill is Campsies.
Wow.
What you get?
Do you know there was one before that though? There was one on the Mulgai side of Strathblane. There used to be a distillery there.
What would that have been then? You remember? So this is the Mortlach 25, gifted to me by my wife. I'm excited to talk on that as well. And I've also got here the oldest official ever bottling of Arran, which is amazing to me that these guys, they've been open 23 years now, but this is their official bottling of their 21-year-old.
Apparently your wife is a keeper.
So my wife is a keeper. She is though, isn't she? So there we go. Daniel, we need to look for Daniel's comments and see Daniel for that. That will certainly raise a glass. What do I raise a glass?
It's in the Scotch Mist. I think it's Turdow it was called.
What are we? This is
what
the
we got.
140.
Yeah, I didn't want to lose either. This is the Knob Creek, and this is the.
Well, we'll take anything that we've got left. We'll take
40.
downstairs to the. But one of those is going to get uncorked, and then we can say thank you very much to everybody for joining. Do you see
I think the chat may be moving. I think it's frozen.
Do you see how fast the time goes?
All I can say is anybody who moderates a chat room must be something close to a genius.
Daniel Whittington is saying Arran, open the Arran. So we're opening the Arran 21. Okay. Now Arran, coincidentally, Daniel, also I gave my whiskey of the year to, and it was hard for me to choose an expression of Arran to represent a distillery because I think they're doing fantastic things. I think they're coming of age. I've said it a few times now. And I suggested Arran 14 because of the balance of whiskey experience and the value. I said Arran 14.
So you said you didn't go to church, right? But Eric Waite, look what he's put there, Bible reference.
Eric Waite has said, "You may spend the money for whatever your heart desires, wine or strong drink, and there you shall eat in the presence of the Lord your God and rejoice, you and your household." Deuteronomy 14:26. Are you impressed that I even knew that Deut is Deuteronomy? Not really.
Not really, no.
So
for 5-6 years, I'd have been gutted and considered myself an absolute failure if you hadn't known.
It's usually a better pop than that. It's enough. So have we got a glass that we can rinse out here? Because I didn't look at the size of this Glencairn. This one's from the Clydeside. This is a Glasgow. This is a Glaswegian Glencairn, right? From the Clydeside distillery. Right, let's give this a wee rinse. So that, how many clean glasses? 3 each? We didn't think we'd be on this long. Okay, let's.
We wouldn't have been, it's because our wives.
To raise a thank you to Daniel Whittington. Listen, can I also say when I talk about community, and I've said this before about Daniel, but Daniel's at the head of the biggest YouTube community that exists, him and Rex, between the Whiskey Vault and the Whiskey Tribe. And, you know, given the size of responsibility that brings, I am really always encouraged that it's in the hands of somebody like Daniel Whittington. Because when you talk to him, not only is he passionate about whiskey, not only has whiskey moved him and taken his life trajectory in the direction that you see him in, but he's also a scholar of the subject. He knows a lot about it, and he loves it, and he drinks it, and he shares it, and he shares all of his knowledge online. And Daniel, I'm always very grateful to have your voice out there, and it's great to have you heading the community and doing all the things that you're doing out there from Austin in a facility that we need to go to the vault. We need to go to that venue, that place that exists. It's pause for contemplation in itself. Anyway, here's to Daniel Whittington. Here's to Aaron.
Daniel, thank you.
And here's to my wife for buying me this. Thank you, Lynn.
All the best for the new year when it comes.
All the best for the new year, absolutely. It's savoury. No bad. Not bad. Tight pour, straight from the neck.
Tambowie. Sorry to interrupt. Yes, that was it. I thought it was Tardowie, but it was Tambowie.
The Alchemist, Sevi, he's a scholar as well. He's like a Padawan.
Oh, sorry to interrupted a whiskey moment there. Thank you, Sevi.
You never think you'll be on this long. I know, Christina. I know. But listen, there's still 125 years. I'm really, really appreciative of this. I kind of softly suggested this. You were up for it. And then I said, are you okay with it being public? And then you're like, yeah, just go for it. I'm glad you did. Really glad you did. We'll probably watch it back tomorrow or something and pick up the channel and realize it's difficult to watch.
This is great fun, but there is nothing on earth that could ever induce me to watch it back.
You'd be surprised. Watch it for me. Just blank out yours.
No. I have had people who've presented me with like sermons and things that I have done on CD, and there's one video of me on YouTube speaking at the Scottish Parliament during their sort of pause for thought thing.
You've never even showed that to me. Is that how grim it is? How do we find it?
No, it's not grim. It's actually superb. It's just
just too humble to watch.
No, I have no desire to watch or listen to myself. That's why I've always had jobs that mean other people have to listen to me, so I don't have to.
We have
the gathering thing has to happen, though.
What am I missing here? Colours Blue Things is saying he made the right choice.
I would second that.
I'll share a secret with you, Colourless Blue Things. There's a chance that all of those bottles will be open before the Rev returns back to the Highlands. When or in what shape or form, who knows? But yes, it's delicious. It's sitting here now. It's just pretty impressive.
And do you know what? It has followed. We've had that in the back of two really intensely deep flavoured whiskies.
Oh, events. I had the Knob Creek, a lot of 40 cask strength, super chilly spice. And what we'll do is we'll take these downstairs and sit them at the table. No, we'll sit them at the breakfast bar and reminisce. Yeah, we'll let nostalgia take over for a while. Daniel Whittington is saying he's got a shot at getting a 2,000-litre tote of new Macallan to age in Texas. Wow, seriously considering it. That would be tremendous, Daniel. Obviously, it couldn't be Scotch, but, you just can't label it as that. We would all know it was Scotch, right? Scotch aged in Texas. Has that been done before? Michel Couvreau takes Scotch as new make in totes, and he ages it in his casks in France. He sells it as, you can't call it Scotch whiskey, but he sells it, and he gets good money for it as well. Well Content is saying amen to that, brother, and Eric Waite as well. Whiskey Freedom is saying if you pull off a gathering for us all, you'll open up one of the yellow submarines. So that'll be a Brookladdy then. If the Scotch Test Dummies make it over, we'll crack open Dap Cove committee release for Bart.
Well, actually, you know what? If it was a convention, we would have a side games table for Bart.
Yeah, so you could evangelize about board games.
Yeah, well, I love board games as well. So
you are about board games. That's something I should be thankful to you too, for me for teaching me that board games can be great fun as well. Prestige Liquids is saying Daniel and Rex have started a revolution. Absolutely, and they're doing it in a very fun, accessible way. I love the culture about de-snobifying. Yeah, legally it would have to be a product of Scotland. That's right.
There's a bit of snobbery in whiskey, isn't there?
You couldn't call it Scotch whiskey. There is snobbery, still exists, but I don't think it's as rife or as bad as anybody.
No,
when do you happen across snobbery in Scotch whiskey? There's
occasionally
small pockets.
Occasionally, yeah. I'm not a snob. I mean, you can ask anybody or anybody who matters.
Well, even the snobs don't think that they're snobs. Yeah. So we could be suffering from that. We've always got to be. Michel Couvreau is a secret. Please don't share with the tribe. There's a couple of good ones from there, but I've got a Michel Couvreau downstairs, Jason, that you can have the entire bottle of it if you so wish. It's open, but you can have it. I mean, it's the same as any producer. Even John Glaser at Compass Box, you know, he does better than most, but they can't always make everything amazing. The Michel Couvreau I've got is the one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, can I just agree with the guy who said that Adam 14 is a gem?
Adam 14 that's my whiskey of the year. You wouldn't have known that yet.
I didn't know that yet.
Yeah.
Was that your whiskey of the year?
My whiskey of the year is Adam 14, yes. And guess what my distillery of the year was? The one I discounted last year because of its presentation. Then I had to go with my heart this year and make it my distillery of the year.
I would need a hint.
You can walk to it from Mulgai.
Technically, you can walk to all of them from Mulgai.
That's true. You can comfortably walk to it. You're only mildly tired after you walk to it from Mulgai. Glengoyne, obviously Glengoyne.
I didn't know you discounted it last year. I don't remember that.
Well, I did because my heart was in Glengoyne, my heart was in Deanston, and I was torn between the two of them, and I love the two of them. I love what they're doing. I was moved that they were close by distilleries as well, and I think, well, who's doing the best things here? And I thought, well, Deanston are putting everything out at 46.3%. Most of the stuff is with age statement, and even when it's not, it's often got vintages on there and things. And there's lots of transparency, a non-chill filtration policy, natural colour wherever possible. I'm not sure that's true of the Virgin Oak, but generally, the presentation that Whiskey Geeks have been asking for needs to be applauded. Deanston it is, because Deanston is. We used to joke about Deanston and its name, and it's because of the way Deanston used to be, right? And then now you see my cabinet downstairs; it's dripping
front
with
row Deanston.
But you can. There's so much going on. The spirit is such a shapeshifter. It can go in all these different casks, and it can satisfy the tastes of all of these different people. So Deanston it was last year, but this year I was looking. Glengoyne was on the list again, and I said I can't. Just because at 43%, when I'm out there talking to people about how ABV is the biggest barrier to enjoying whiskey, and I'm discounting the whiskey I want to make whiskey of the year just because it's not at 46%. I realised I was being my own snob, maybe. I don't know. So I gave it to Glengoyne, and I'm very, very glad that I did, because it's it's wonderful. Have you tried the teapot yet?
I've not tried this batch of teapot, but I've tried teapot.
More events to happen. This is going to be a good couple of days. Maybe you should extend your stay. Listen, I'm going to wind this up. Let's just catch some comments. Whiskey Jason is saying, too many weird barrels in the album 21 for me. Very good, but not great. Well, we've explored it on the neck. It's lighting us up right now, Jason's. We're enjoying it. Daniel is saying we would have to proof it down to rectify it and legally sell it. Listen, you've got the ability to, you're only limited by your imagination, Daniel. I'm really excited about what you're doing. I've just bought my chapter 6, by the way. Josh Golladay is going to come in and pick it up from you. So I'm looking forward to trying that as well. I could even let you try the Eleanor from the Crowded Barrel.
I only have the ability to try so many before my palate gives out.
Okay. You just need to extend your stay. And let's see. Aaron Tennis is Bon Accord Dram when I'm out with the lads. Absolutely, and it's very, very good value as well, and fantastic. And I think that would catch a lot of people out that would not think that was a 10-year-old. One of the best 10-year-olds out there. Whiskey Freedom will do a blind tasting whiskey version of the Ryder Cup with Aqvavitae, Daniel Whittington as team captains. Sevi could be the match winner. Great idea, Daniel Whittington. Have you tried Deanston 20 Oloroso cask? Yes, it was a limited edition, so the distribution and supply chain means that it's out in outlying territories now. You could still buy the 20-year-old Oloroso. You've tried that. We shared that. It's a wonderful dram. It was actually one of the transformative Deanston experiences for me, Daniel. Wonderful whiskey. We can't buy here anymore. It's long gone here. We need to go to auction to get it, but you can still buy it in the States. fantastic. Look out for the Bordeaux wine cask 2008, and I think a 2009 brandy cask as well, and a Sauterne cask. In fact, anything in Deanston seems to just go very well in any cask at all. The RN14 is the distillery of the year for Aqvavitae. No, the RN14 is the whiskey of the year. Glengoyne is distillery of the year. I finally got my hands on a bottle of Abuna. I am in love from the first sip. The Abuna has just started giving up. Andrew, as you start to peel away layer by layer, drop by drop, drop by drop, it'll take you on a wee journey. Yeah, fantastic, fantastic whiskey. Keep going, guys. This is great. That's Welsh. He's one of these nocturnal guys that stays up on it.
He's given me some good whiskey recommendations in the past.
Welsh Store is a star. He's been on the show, and he's just one of the stalwarts of our awesome community. Whiskey Dram is saying, always great chat and great to have the whiskey-rev joining, and really enjoyed. Fantastic Whiskey Dram. Thank you for that. Daniel saying, if Josh can't figure it out, I'll illegally ship it to you myself. Fantastic, Daniel. Theoretically, in quotation marks. Whiskey Jason is saying, whiskey, Brolic Whiskey, please use the @ in the comment for Roy. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm picking out the things that have been highlighted to me, and I know that can be tough sometimes, but at Aqvavitae, and that's the comments that I'm picking out. Multi-Haggis Muncher is saying, thank you again for a great night. Myself and Paul Innes both enjoyed very much. All the best. So Paul Innes, his friend, but Multi-Haggis Muncher was an awesome name, right? Yeah. His name's Matthew. He's from the Northeast, and he came down and we met and hung out in Edinburgh. A really good tasting at Jeffrey Street Whiskey. And I sat there all the day with Paul, and I didn't realise he was also a minister. Not that I would have been able to say anything other than, wow, my friend the whiskey-rev is a minister.
But you could have told him that DEUT is an abbreviation for
Deuteronomy. Yes, yeah. I'm not a complete heathen, right? Brolic Whiskey is saying, I'll be keeping the end of the year roundup party going over at my page in about 10 minutes. So there you go. Brolic Whiskey seems to be having a live stream after this. So there's somewhere to take the party for folks like Welsh Toro. So Welsh, hook up with Brolic Whiskey and Metahuman Dave, and they head over there, and he'll be hosting the next party relay. And Christina's saying, can listen to you guys for hours.
It says guys plural there. Did you notice that?
I did see that, yeah.
I might take a photograph of that comment.
Christina Zerpoli is awesome. She always says nice things. We were talking about this tonight, how you've been my moderator for a long time.
I'm the unsung hero of the channel.
Yeah, absolutely. That's another thing I could have thanked you for. There you go.
I know.
But I did thank you for you. There was a wee delivery made to your door that you were very grateful for, right?
There was.
So, yes. So all the super chats that come in and things like that, I don't hog them all and keep them for myself. I do share them out. So not all of it, of course.
Well, that's for you. People give it.
But I did, and I thanked Whiskey Jason and the whiskey-rev. But they've been moderating all year. How many times have you had to deal with any prickly rudeness or inappropriateness? It just long may it last.
The fact that you believe that just shows what a good job we do.
Well, there you go. It might just be that you're just such a good cop still.
No, the community is superb, isn't it?
Brolic Whiskey will be going live at midnight, so we've got 8 minutes to go. Fantastic. Brolic is saying, I won a Glengoyne 15 sample the other day. So Glengoyne 15, one of those subtle drams I was talking about. One of those very, very subtle prospects. Fantastic whiskey. Whiskey Freedom, who you've met, I think, is saying thank you. Eric Gilbert is saying, have a great new year. Thank you very much, Eric. Good to see you in again. Whiskey Bowman, we've spoken as well. Nice to see you. And I must have got a dodgy bottle of Abuna, as I get nothing from the bottle I bought a few years ago. I was really disappointed with it. It's batch driven. Not all the batches suit everybody. You know,
that is a shame, though.
That is a shame, because you shouldn't. If you love that genre of whiskey, that style of whiskey, don't give up on Abuna, because it's wonderful. Getting more expensive now. The Donner Pass is saying. So I finally got to do one of these live Winter Lots of Snow Donner Pass session. So too many 12-day, 7-day weeks. Finally at home drinking whiskey, watching this. Donner Pass, that's wonderful to hear that you finally get your feet up. I'll raise a glass to you as well. Cheers, my friend. The Alchemist is saying you should do a UK version of the 12 Hours of Boone if it was a commode. Well, I suppose I could have break Sevi. Tell you what, I'll think about that if you choose to involve yourself. There you go. You're just across town. So if you're involved, maybe I'll do it. And Brolic is saying he pushed it back to watch this stream. You star. I had to push my stream back for the Scotch Test Dummies as well, that's really cool. It's just another, even the creators, enjoy working together rather than against each other. Fantastic. Dwayne is saying, thanks, Roy, for a great show with Graham. May 2019 be another great whiskey year for the both of you. Let's say, let's raise a glass. Yeah, and also to you. Yeah, and also to you. Steve A is saying, speaking from experience, modding can be straightforward with the right crowd like you have, but the Rev does a great job with what he needs to do. He absolutely does. Alt Content is saying, Nate Tadger's here. He's in Australia, but he's a Ouija. Right? So
you never lose.
Prestige Liquids is saying, mine is batch 61. The last Abuna I have is 57, which I think, who else had a bottle of 57?
Eric is also going live in an hour.
Is Eric going live as well?
Yeah.
So he's maybe going to pick up after Brolic then.
Yeah, halfway down your screen there. Anyway.
I do a Whiskey Church on Sundays. I would be live in 1 hour, 5 p.m. Pacific. There you go. So if Brolic, this is just like a relay thing. Scotch Distilleries, Aqvavitae, Brolic, then on
so we were quite fortunate to find a niche then.
We were lucky to find a slot. I hope we've not trodden on anyone's toes. January, I'll be back to my usual Thursday night slots, of course. This was fantastic. Jason is saying, thank you, Jason. Andrew's saying, mine's is batch 61. I picked that up. And Anna's in from Clydeside Distillery. Anna, I've got your glass in front of me here. Hey, how are you? I hope is Thomas in as well. Anna and Thomas are both supporters of mine, wonderful people as well. I got to hang out with them in Glasgow recently. Can't wait to hang in person again. Here's to a truly amazing 2019. Daniel, thank you so much for dropping by, and my sentiments are reflected right back at you as well. How do we toast this? We could do a
not with an empty glass.
We could do some kind of. I'm not doing a sermon. A toast.
I haven't come prepared for a sermon.
We'll just do my simple toast.
I could have prepared something. May the best you've ever seen be the worst you'll ever. How does that one go?
How does that one go then?
The gist of it.
May the best you've ever seen be the worst you'll ever see. Know. Okay, right.
That's all I remember.
Let's go with
Lang me your lumreek.
Lang me your lumreek. That's a good one. That's a good one.
A good Scottish one.
So let me say thank you very much, not just for coming down again and sharing whiskey here tonight, but for your friendship over the years, for the whiskey experiences, for the moments, for the support, for the encouragement, for the pushes in the right direction, and the reality checks when I'm going in the wrong direction.
Which has never happened.
Thank you, my friend.
On behalf of all the people who are hiding inside the camera just now, I can say what more and more of them are finding out, which is that it has been an absolute privilege so far. I look forward to many more years. Thank you for your friendship.
It's not whiskey until it's shared. Thank you, gorgeous whiskey folk, and I'll see you in the new year. Slanchivata. It's not stopped yet.
Are we still live? We're still
live. So that means that you can say Slancha still as well.
Slancha.